Hey guys, I'm Rainy Unger, and this is another episode of Under the Radar, where we talk all things film. And for purposes of tonight, some TV. And I want to welcome tonight, I have a wonderful panel of guest critics tonight. We've got Mr. Matt Haberman, aka Kid Champagne. Matt, welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime, anytime. And we've got Forrest Bennett. Welcome back, Forrest. No strangers to the show.
Randy, Chris, Matt, good seeing you all again.
And
good to see you too.
And I want to say guest of honor, Mr. Chris Malarkey, because it's been way too long. Welcome, sir. It's always a pleasure. I know about a year ago, we were in the same situation here with Cobra Kai. That was season 3 last year. Now we're going to talk about season 4. So I'm really glad you can continue the tradition of
Thank you for having me back, man.
No mercy, no mercy. But before we get into that wonderful, wonderful show, I'm curious, guys, what are you watching this week? What are you streaming? What are you watching on DVD, Blu-ray? Chris, since it's been a while, what are you watching?
I watched, I was able to finish, I think I started it in December, but I just now got around to finishing it, the live adaptation of Cowboy Bebop on Netflix. So that was always something cool as an anime. I wanted to see what the transition would be to the big screen and the live format. So it was actually pretty dope how they were able to do that. But that's been my most recent thing.
All right, that's cool. Yeah, for decades now, since college, 2003, I started there. I had a friend who would always recommend Cowboy Bebop. I just could never really get on that. It's like, that's anime, correct?
Yes, it is. Yes, okay. It is. Yeah. Yeah. It's niche, you know.
Okay, I'll get into it eventually. There's just so much content out there, so much good anime. So I got to get through.
That's one of the ones that I wouldn't recommend anything to somebody that's not top 10, top 5. You should definitely make some time and watch that.
All right, appreciate it. The last thing I saw actually was the Animatrix, which was pretty good. I don't know.
Yes, I've seen that long time ago. I was like,
well, I watched it in preparation because we reviewed the Matrix Resurrections recently. So
gotcha.
I wanted to just like absorb all the Matrix stuff, and that happened to be one. And it was really good, really great animation. So,
sure.
I'm a big fan. Also, before I move on, if you're an anime fan, you may like Katsucon. I don't know if you're familiar.
Katsucon, I haven't heard of that one though.
It's an anime convention in Maryland near DC, and basically it's an annual thing, and they have people cosplaying. They've got screenings, and they even had they had a rave, which I went to.
How was that?
I felt like I was the oldest person in the room. So don't choke.
For what I've heard is that Katsucon, they just take over one hotel and it's just one giant party.
Yeah, wow. It was a lot of fun. I recommend it. Again, it's in I think it's every February. I don't know if they're doing it this year, but I did it a number of years ago. But yeah, called Katsucon. Really.
I have to look into that. Very cool.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe we'll go sometime.
For sure.
Cool. Mr. Haberman, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Welcome back to the show. I just saw you for the Hook 30th anniversary.
Oh, and that was so much fun, and what a great experience that was. And just to even watch Hook, call it what you want, virtually or in person, it was a great experience, especially with an actor from the movie. It was just blows my mind.
The actor bought a Lost Boy. That's
right. So Chris, we actually over the past weekend, we did a 30th anniversary movie party for Hook, Steven Spielberg's 1991 classic.
Gotcha.
We had one of the Lost Boys join in on us and gave us some insight behind the scenes, information, and it was a lot of fun actually. And I'm glad Matt and Forrest were there. That was really cool.
Nice, man.
Yeah. But Matt, what are you watching these days? What's on your TV?
Well, right now I've been catching up with the latest season of Curb Your Enthusiasm. I'm a big Larry David fan, and it's been hilarious so far. Like Larry David is one talented guy. I'll tell you that.
I'm telling you, this might be my favorite season. I mean, it just gets better and better. Like it's such a fantastic show. I love it. I love every moment of it. And this season is great.
Including with Vince Vaughn taking over as the Funkhauser.
Yeah, perfect. He's perfect. Forrest, what are you watching since the last time I saw you?
All right. Since last time, besides Hook, I recently watched on Netflix. I watched Best of the Best for the very first time.
Eric Roberts.
Yeah,
right?
Eric Roberts, Chris Penn, James Earl Jones, and then Kane Hodder, aka Jason from the Friday the 13th movies, in a small role.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he was in the bar fight. He was in the bar fight scene.
Oh man, did they make a bunch of those, like a bunch of sequels?
Yes, they did. Yes, they
Yeah.
did.
I didn't know there was more of that.
That's a great movie. I don't know about 2, 3, and 4. They kind of, they lagged a little bit, but that's a fantastic. That's a pure Taekwondo film right there. Pure.
Yeah, that was really. Yeah, I really enjoyed. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a little cheesy, but I thought it was a lot of fun to watch. I thought it was a lot of fun.
You know what? They had a real. And this guy's the real deal. Like my teacher, he's Grandmaster Hee Cho, who was the coach of that Korean team, and he played the coach of the Korean team in that movie. And he's like, if you look him up, he's serious. So they got the right guy for that part.
Nice. And you know what? I think I forgot to just mention at the top of the show here, Chris Malarkey is a decorated, skilled, experienced martial artist. And I just want to thank you for taking the time tonight to discuss a very awesome show that it has martial arts in it, but it isn't a martial arts show,
Yeah, for sure.
That's kind of like to the side, the character relationships. That's what really propels the show. So I want to welcome you and thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, man. Grateful to be here.
Cool. But guys, before we dive into Cobra Kai, this just fairly recently, a few days ago, we lost a member of the comedy community, a very talented actor, comedian, Bob Saget, passed away. And for me personally, he was basically a father to me through TV, being the dad on Full House, and the life lessons that he imparted on his daughters. Those life lessons are in me as well. And, it's a terrible loss. He was only 65 years old. And, he was just a hilarious guy, very warm. His humor was a little unorthodox, but that's what made him great. And of course, Full House and America's Funniest Home Videos, his stand-up, his appearances on talk shows, he was just really a legend. And
I will say that, well, first of all, I'm not gonna lie, I was not a huge fan of Full House growing up. I found it a little too saccharine sweet for my taste. But what I did admire was that he could go back and forth. He could do he could do completely, family friendly stuff. He could do keep it clean, family friendly, like he did with Full House and America's Funniest Home Videos. But then he could also go and do completely ribald, politically incorrect, stuff. Like actually, one thing he did that I always found that I always enjoyed though was one of his rare directorial efforts, Dirty Work. It was his first mainstream directorial feature,
right.
Which actually wasn't his first, but it was his first one that was got a major release.
Right.
He directed it. It starred Norm Macdonald, who had just died 4 months earlier.
Yeah.
Or passed away 4 months earlier. It's him, Artie Lang, and Chris Farley.
Nice.
It didn't do well when it came out, but I always thought that movie was an unsung masterpiece. And I wish that Saget had done more in the director's chair.
He wasn't in it at all, as an actor?
No, he didn't. No, he didn't make any appearances.
Yeah, I never got around to seeing that, but
it's on HBO Max.
Good to know. Chris, were you impacted at all by Bob Saget's passing?
It was just I guess following the momentum of like the New Year's deaths, Betty White and yada yada. I couldn't really say I related a lot to Full House, but I thought he was a cool, from what I understood from the different perspectives and comments from different people that he's impacted and just people he's been around, that he was a good guy. Obviously, it's a huge loss. He's got a family, so that's a huge thing, unexpected. It's not like he was 95, he was 65. So, there was a little bit more life expectancy, at least I'm sure. And from what I understand, he died in his hotel.
Yeah.
Solo. So, like, that's tough to find out. You get someone calls your wife saying, your husband died while he was away. He like didn't die at home or with his kids, anything like that. So that's tough. But I can't say anything negative whatsoever. I just hope we keep hearing more positive things and everyone comforts his family during this time.
Yeah, he left behind a really strong legacy.
For sure.
Forrest, did we get a cause of death yet? I don't think we did, right?
There's no cause of death.
No, haven't heard anything.
Because I know he did drugs way back when, but
yeah,
I don't know if he relapsed or what. But either way, terrible news. Matt, were you a big fan of Bob's?
I'm going to say I was a big fan, but I liked his work. I mean, I watched Full House and America's Funniest Home Videos. I thought he was a really funny guy. I really did.
Yeah.
But just hearing that, so it's just very shocking. Like, what?
Yeah.
This can't be so. Like,
it was definitely out of left field.
Yeah.
But we've got all the memorable episodes of Full House and his appearances on Letterman. Actually, there's a YouTube video that a friend forwarded me the other night, and it was like an hour, almost 2 hours worth of stand-up and interviews. Just a Letterman.
He also did local. He was here locally in New York, and he did stand-up comedy at Dangerfield's Comedy Club years back.
Yeah, I remember seeing his stand-up on TV. Actually, I would say it's a stand-up, and then I also saw him hosting Saturday Night Live. And for the longest time, I had written him off because I wasn't a Full House fan, but I was seeing his stand-up, seeing him do SNL. I'm like, hey, you know what? Maybe it made me like seeing that, and then also again the aforementioned dirty work made me reevaluate him. I had a huge change of heart have a huge change of heart about him.
I know, like I grew up on his humor on just Full House alone, and it was very sweet, like you said, very wholesome. But then to watch his stand-up where he's like, cursing and
very raunchy and dirty.
Yeah, it's like total 180. I want to say.
Did you ever see a documentary called The Aristocrats? From Penn Jillette? Did you ever see his take on that joke?
It's been a while, but I remember. Yeah, it's a very good movie. How that one joke is interpreted in so many different ways, and was his was like one of the worst, right?
Exactly.
Nice. See, we're gonna have to think back and laugh, because that's what Bob Saget wanted us to do. He wanted us to laugh, and he did just that. He also great improvisational comic with his back and forth with Letterman. Check out that video; it's on YouTube. Really great appearances. All right, well, Bob Saget, rest in peace, and I hope the family gets through this tough time. All right, guys. So on a lighter note, we've got Cobra Kai season 4, and Forrest and Chris were here about 1 year ago, and we did season 3, which was a lot of fun. Had a great time with that. We get more of the same, really. We've got our standard characters. We've got LaRusso, we've got Lawrence, sort of like teaming up here, but there's still some tension. We've got, the LaRussos. We've got Anthony now, who is becoming. Oh, by the way, this is going to be a spoiler episode, guys. Spoilers. So,
all right.
No hold bars.
I was wondering when you were going to say that.
I'm sorry. I should have said that. Yes. Totally. We're gonna talk about it all. So basically, Anthony is now a bully, and there's this new kid, Kenny, who's getting tormented by Anthony. We've got we've got Robbie, we've got Samantha, we've got
Corey
Tori, yeah,
and Miguel.
Robbie and Miguel, Samantha and Tori. There's so many different relationships going on here. So many
also of course John Kreese and Terry Silver, the return of Terry Silver.
So I was about to get into that. Yes, we've got Terry Silver, the return of this really villainous, evil character who you think has reformed, and he has reformed in the beginning, but then Kreese drags him back into the darkness, and we've got these two madmen operating Cobra Kai, and we've got a new breed, a new group of new recruits here. Tori's still there, Robbie's there, who's kind of morally ambiguous, but Tori's just a flat out psychopath. But yeah, this season it focuses mainly on the return of Terry Silver, and every scene this guy is in, Thomas Ian Griffiths, I believe his name is.
Yes.
He's the highlight of this season, and I love every moment he's on screen. And I love Martin Cove. He's great too, returning as John Kreese. And together, these two, they are so evil, so despicable, yet I want to see more. So, Chris, it's been a while. First impressions of this season, what do you think?
Oh, there's so much to say. I'll try to consolidate just from the outside. I think what they've done a really good job of is making it a martial arts drama, which focuses a lot on what impacts a martial artist's life off the mat. You're seeing a lot of that, not just, walking past the school, those typical dramatizations of, somebody walks past the glass window and there's 50 people, yelling, screaming, and there's a, little mini tournament going on at the school, whatever. They really do a good job of going deeper and focusing on the relationships with people as they go in all these different directions, albeit interconnected with each other. So that's really cool. Obviously, bringing all the old actors back for the nostalgia. The actors being, they all kind of still look the same, which is kind of
good. They look
cool.
good.
They look good. Like Thomas Ian Griffith looks great.
Yeah.
Whatever age he is now, it looks like he just dyed his hair gray.
He's younger than Ralph Macchio.
Yeah, that's what So it's
weird.
It's insane. Yeah, somebody said that on Facebook the other day. I was gonna throw that in here somewhere. I'm glad you answered that for me. But yeah, it's just cool to see how this sort of the dichotomies and the trichotomies between everybody. Trying to make the Miyagi-Do work with Eagle Fang, and it's all like really when you're teaching your students. And I've been teaching a long time, but as you teach, you'll find that your students will take on whatever part of life you're in. So you'll find students like for example, with my teacher, who took class, with him when he was around my age now. So very different from, the wisdom that he's attained, at 65, so it may be a little slower, maybe he may be a little nicer, and the students will reflect that sort of in their movements and in their attitudes as well. And you see a lot of that, Miyagi-Do essence is sort of relaxed and flow, and Eagle Fang is more like aggressive and go, but you find that Johnny Lawrence he's sort of trying to figure himself out, because he's got a big midlife crisis happening. Yeah. What's my relationship with, and I struggled with it too, which is, can you separate yourself from the thing you love most? Mm-hmm. What are you without it? I think it's a great question in terms of exploring an instructor. How do you do that on film? These guys obviously do it a great way, but trying to make two different forms of karate work together, it's so hard. There's so many factions of karate out there, and I know many of them don't work together per se, although the journeys are all the same. Whether you're doing kung fu or this, everybody gets to their mountaintop at some point. It has their view, but it's all about working together. So we'll see they're still fleshing that out here. It's still yet to be seen. I feel like we could have 10 seasons of Cobra Kai. I kind of just binge watched the whole thing, like kept going.
Yes.
They did such a great job. I mean, it's great, like, because there's so much more substance to the martial arts other than just teaching it or practicing it. There's so much more. How do you literally apply what you were teaching your students, whatever the size of the class is or the student body, how do you apply that to your life? And how do you not show up the next day and be a hypocrite? Or how do you do that if you just had a divorce? How do you do that if your son just died? What is your relationship with the art? And I think they explore that a lot here in a very interesting way.
Yeah, I love it because it's a show, it's a martial arts show, but it's not about martial arts. It's really about the interconnections of the characters, of the core characters, and martial arts just is sort of there, it's not the focus.
Yeah, it's both a coming. I find it's both it's a coming of age drama for the younger characters, and for the older characters, it's like you're saying, midlife crisis, or at least for Johnny.
Oh yeah, for Johnny, it was definitely a midlife crisis.
Hilarious.
I mean, actually, what would be the middle age equivalent of a coming of age story be? Like a coming to terms or something,
like
or
redemption, or I don't.
He's in the process of really. I have so much to say, honest, because I identify a lot, even though I'm not anywhere near mid-age. But during the pandemic, I stopped teaching for about, I would say, the longest period of time I've ever not been in a uniform was in the pandemic, because I literally put a belt. I'm used to putting on a belt practically every single day of the week. So I went through a period of time during the pandemic when it first started in like early 2020, where I just didn't put my belt on, and I was just sort of normal, regular, So it made me sit down and think about, what my relationship with the art is and how to recreate, because you always have to go through that process. It's human, right? You want to recreate and redefine yourself some way. And I found a way to do that, by, spending time thinking about it, but then getting back into a uniform after having a couple of months break was really refreshing, and it just allowed me to appreciate what I was doing a lot better, and to be able to ultimately impact people. That's positively. That's the only goal. But it's interesting how they do it in the show. I really like the dramatic license that they took, going the directions they did.
So you don't have former martial arts instructors come to your house and start fighting with you?
I do. You know what? My teacher, Grandmaster Kim, and you guys can look him up. There's lots of YouTube videos on him. Grandmaster S.J. Kim, fantastic instructor. I've never ever wanted to seek an instructor outside of this man. He's really just been a guiding light for me. Really ever since I was a kid. So we're talking 30 years. Of instruction, and still learning from him when I'm in his presence. And that's very special, because there's a learning curve that's obviously accelerated when you learn something in the beginning, and then obviously slows down as you start to learn and pick up. And I just feel like my learning curve is always rapid fire with him. So he used to, from the stories I've heard, he just used to pull up on cats like, hey, we're training, let's go. Hey, why didn't you come to class today? I'm at your house now, get in the car, let's go. Like, he was that kind of dude. When we're talking, around the same time that they're talking about Kreese being in his, in his heyday, like post-Vietnam, 70s, where that, that hardcore blood and guts era was. And my teacher was a part of that time too. So I always wonder what he would have to say about the show. I don't think he'd have the patience to watch it. But he told me many stories of coming from Korea. He was one of the pioneers, truly, of bringing Taekwondo from Korea to the United States, traveling with a world-renowned team of select people that demonstrated Taekwondo at like the highest level. And he was telling me when the Koreans came to town, karate is obviously Japanese. He said all the Japanese cats they bounced. Like, as soon as they saw the Koreans coming, they were like, "See you later." You want nothing to do with none of that. And so, and it's just that time, So in the show, a lot of it is holding on to memories, right? Like, Miyagi, going to Miyagi after. I would see myself in Ralph Macchio's position, like looking for that guidance, because it's almost like you said, that father figure, right? I find that in Grandmaster Cam. I have my father, of course, who's a great man, but I also seek, I have other, father-like figures, and he's probably, second, in my life to that. So
The father-son dynamic is alive and well in this season.
For sure, for sure.
Oh, for sure.
What did they say in Beowulf? The sins of the father. That too.
Yeah, this is like different generations, different rivalries. The character relationships, again, they're very well. They're put up there, displayed really beautifully here. Matt, I didn't get to you yet. What did you think of this season of Cobra Kai?
Oh, I loved it. I think it was really spot on. It takes it to a whole new level. But even for what I've seen how the change from LaRusso's daughter, and even from Tori's standpoint, we've seen how she was psycho, but she had it hard. It was like the world was out to get her. That's how she always thought, and it came to mind that when you came down, I see that character coming. In the future, when we talk about it, I will tell it what I think is going to happen to that character for Tori. I think there's something different that's going to come along.
Well, this is the time to air it out. I mean, this
we're talking. I mean, this is spoiler review, so
watch it out.
Come on, let's hear it.
I think Tori is going to shift away. He's gonna leave Cobra Kai and go right to me. I don't know if it's Miyagi-Do, but either Eagle Fang or Miyagi-Do. I think it's going to be Eagle Fang.
Right. We're going to get a little redemption from Tori. I definitely see it too.
Same here. I think it's the same with Robbie too. I think the door is now open for Robbie and Johnny to mend their relationship.
Yeah. There's so many relationships crisscrossing all over the place.
I think it's also what's going to happen is what's her name? The daughter. What's her name? What's her character? Sam LaRusso. I think she's going to break away and take a break from karate. I think that's what she's not going to train with
either,
or just going to go do her own thing for what. Because we found out for what her friend, because she was absent from seasons
right
3
from Aisha. She's Aisha. For all of last season, and then we see her, and then she comes back this season for one episode.
What was the reason for Aisha's absence? Do we know?
In show it was because of she said that it was her dad's job plus the fight at school.
Right. Yeah.
In real life, I think the actress had some issues outside of the show.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I think she was very good though, but want to see more of her. But Ralph Macchio and William Zabka, they anchor this show so well. They've been doing it for 4 seasons now.
Yeah,
and I really hope, Chris, I know you said this could go forever. I totally agree with you. I hope it goes for another 4 or 5 seasons, if not more.
Sure.
And it's kind of crazy. On that note, it's kind of crazy that Macchio and Zabkar now are older than Pat Morita and Martin Kove were when the original movies were made.
That's weird. Yeah, and you mentioned that Griffith, I know he was 29 in Karate Kid 3, and Macchio was what, a year older?
Actually, no, Macchio was 20. No, Macchio was 28. Griffith was 27.
Okay, wow, it's very weird.
And then I think I mentioned this before, but as far as Karate Kid, so Thomas Ian Griffith's his real life wife, was in the Disney Channel original movie Johnny Tsunami with Yuki Ojimoto, who played Shozen.
Oh, that's funny. Who's going to be in season 5?
Yes.
So that's going to be cool. Sort of a team up with LaRusso. I think that's gonna be very cool.
I feel like Daniel and Chosen are going to be a more balanced team than him and Johnny were this season.
Well,
Yeah.
as you know, I don't know for what it is, but I do think that Johnny, remember, the deal was that if Cobra Kai won the tournament,
They dissolved.
they bounce. But
Mhm.
but I think what's going to happen is this. I think what is that Johnny is going to teach his son the Miyagi-Do way.
Mhm.
I think he's going to work one-on-one with that. And then we have him, he's going to take over the dojo in a way, in loophole. I also going to see, because we all know, what's his name, went down to Mexico, Miguel.
Yeah.
To find his dad. Yeah.
That was interesting too, right? Like that with him, taking right off to go find his pops too. Like of all the things you could do right directly after a tournament, which his father figure was supposed to be Johnny Lawrence, he's now rejected because, he's hooking up with his mom, understandably. But, there's like everyone's looking for identity somewhere. And possibly, everyone's got a self-discovery process. It's so interesting how they did that.
It's about, for the young kids, it's identity, and for everybody, it's for acceptance. That's like the main theme here. So everybody is desiring in this show, young and old, and it's getting better and better. I did not expect Kreese to get arrested.
Wow. That was I think with Silver, I think because his character was kind of was very hammy in Karate Kid 3. And I think here they did a great. I think they did it. They
toned him down a little.
They toned him down and made him significantly more evil.
Yeah. Well, they said he was on, in terms of the story.
Yeah.
In this season, I remember them saying something about him being. I think the actor even mentioned it, like that he was on coke, not the actual actor, but the guy he's playing in the show, cocaine. So it was like he was so giddy. It's almost like Tom Hardy, right? A lot of the acting on Thomas's part is done with his eyes. So much of it is here as he's like talking, he's capturing, even as he's getting like these ideas, you can see his mind sort of churning. Yeah. And he does such a great job of doing that with his eyes. Like when Tom Hardy played Bane, it was like that whole movie. Yeah, appreciate he did that whole movie with his eyes. So it was pretty cool to see that. And obviously he's got ulterior motives. He's trying to make a chain out of this, and he's not worried about hardcore this. He's like, let's make some money with this. Like we can all eat. Let's open up a franchise, and I'm with him. I'm with him. But everyone's looking for that balance.
What's amazing about Silver here? So Karate Kid Part 3, he was total off the wall, batshit crazy, and you could see it in his face in every scene. His maniacal smile and laugh. He was like a tall, like if the Joker knew martial arts, that would be that. But now in season 4, he's aware of how crappy of a human being he was in the 80s, and he's kind of toned down.
Was he? No, he came back to his old ways.
Well, in the first few episodes, he was like a normal person, but then you can see the gradual descent back into madness. Like, okay, he was never really, a redeemable character. This insanity was always inside him. It just took Kreese to bring it out.
And you can even flesh that part out, because they say that about all great athletes, right? Like look at Jordan, those like prime example. He was just in the Last Dance documentary. But I knew that about him anyway because I'm competitive like that. So it's like I think the competitive nature that's there is a fire that really it can't really be doused. Once Jordan was done with basketball, what did he do? Play golf and baseball,
right?
And then betting, and then and then cigars, and then it just moves on to the next thing. And he has the gambling thing. Like, so it's almost like they set him up sort of as a caricature of like, competitive, like how do you continue to feed, right? They were talking about that in the early part of the episodes, right? Like, Kreese was telling them, hey, you lost your edge. It's like looking at a tiger in a cage. Like, what's wrong with you? This is not who you are. And once he started getting, and he's great with the psychology. I mean, great. So he's like, yeah, he's pulling back out what's already there. It's just been repressed. So, you go into the psychology of it, and it's so much, it's viable, right? Like, okay, yeah, I'm sitting here eating triangle sandwiches, with the sweater crew here. That's not who you are. You used to being this fighter. How do you athletes die 2 deaths, right? You've heard that. So, one's the physical one, and then when you can't do it anymore at a high level, what do you, so that's kind of an interesting thing too. I wonder how they'll continue to play his character going forward and where they end up putting him. Sometimes the actors even have input in terms of what ends up happening. Like, what was his face? What's the guy's name from Spider-Man? Willem Dafoe, who I heard said something about the initial ending of Spider-Man, like, nah, I don't want to do Green Goblin like that. I want to do it like this, But, we'll see.
Well, I see Terry Silver gaining more power, getting crazier. But then I think he might fall back and get a little sensitive at some point.
That or he gets humbled again.
There might be a moment, a slight moment of sensitivity, and then he'll just get full blown crazy again, kind of like a roller coaster.
I think what we're going to be seeing, because we all know that at the end of the tournament, we all know that Tori Silver stays. There's going to be Cobra Kai's all over the valley. So we're going to see a bunch more Cobra Kai locations.
Knock off.
With the main one in its original location. But here's one thing. I liked how in Cobra Kai, how they brought back, and they brought into the past of Kreese. It was really, really interesting to see that. I was like, finally, we finally see it. Yeah. So here's what I think. We all know that Tori framed Kreese because one of the guys, Stingray.
Or you mean Terry framed Kreese? I think you said Tori.
Terry and Tori.
Terry, yeah.
Terry. Sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, poor Stingray, man. That was did not deserve that. He just wants to be part of Cobra Kai. I mean, that's it. And
I would have went right to Eagle Fang if I was him.
I'm surprised he didn't jump ship. He didn't switch over.
Yeah.
Also, I'm going to point out that the boys showdown between. I was not expecting Robbie to fight Hawk.
Yeah.
And with Hawk being the victor, that was a surprise. That caught me off guard.
But you know what? I wanted to go back and to Chris's point. This Cobra Kai, all 4 seasons could be analyzed by like psychiatrists and medical professionals, like psychoanalysts. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on with the relationships and
a lot of content there,
and the power, the desire to want something, and the family bonds, the romantic bonds. I think the father-son bond is really the most prevalent here in most of the characters.
Oh, for sure.
And yeah, definitely, this is definitely ripe for analysis. So, so guys, I want to see more Cobra Kai. I think we all do. I'm probably going to rewatch the first 3 seasons and then the 4th again, because it's just that great. Just have it on loop, all the time.
I mean, what I did last year and what I did this year was I would watch all 3 movies, and then watch every episode of Cobra Kai from the beginning.
Nice.
To see how all these characters have evolved.
And I consider Cobra Kai, the series, I think it's better than the movies. Actually, I know that might be a bold statement, but I think it's more enjoyable. It's easier to digest. It's funnier, and it's got more interesting characters.
Yeah, it's more complex. Like the characters are a lot more complex.
Right.
Actually, the characters and their relationships, their rivalries. are a
Yeah.
lot more for example, what was so this season we finally get after like 3 seasons of just being a side character who sits around playing games, we finally get Anthony
Yeah.
Daniel's son Anthony finally gets an arc, and he
Expanding.
Oh
and he,
yes.
I was like, is that the same kid? It's like, wow.
yeah, and it's like seeing Daniel's own offspring turn a new I'm trying to remember what was the name of that kid again, the new kid
Kenny.
Kenny, yeah, seeing him torment
Yeah.
Kenny, and then it's like he basically made it like how seeing turn to make him I knew right away when Anthony was picking on him, that this kid was gonna end up a Cobra Kai. Like
Right.
seeing him make a monster out of Kenny.
I definitely want to see more of him too. See, he's gonna have more
Oh,
development.
it's gonna increase, and that's what's gonna happen with
Escalate.
Anthony
Yeah.
Russo. He's
He's
going
looking,
to
he's looking for
learn.
dad's attention. That's what he's looking
Yeah,
for.
that's
Because
it.
dad is
He's-
teaching
he's gonna-
24/7. And he's like, how can I act out to get my dad to pay attention to me and stop talking to me about Cobra Kai and talk to me about what's going on with me here. So I think that's what that all is. So again, it's great. It's so thought out because somebody sat here like we're doing right now for like months and then like organized this and said, yeah. And then they shot it even better than they thought it. So
There you go. Perfect.
amazing.
All right,
One
guys.
thing-
Oh, sorry, Matt. One more point.
One thing for sure for what I'm gonna see, like I said, Anthony's gonna learn the ways of Miyagi-Go from his father.
Mhm.
But deep down inside, he's gonna have to try to bring Kenny out from Cobra Kai, and that's gonna be hard to do because
Mm.
he is the one that created that monster. It
Yes.
was he made that. It's all his fault.
Right.
Wait,
Right.
I got a big question. It's a question. Nobody has to answer it. I just want you to think about it.
Yes.
Can they all unify karate? Can they unify it?
All three dojos.
Can they unify it?
I would love. I mean, that would be amazing.
I'm gonna,
You
I'm
see,
gonna, I'm gonna leave
I
it.
think that here's what's gonna happen, and I
Yeah,
think, and this is what I wanted to say it also with Kreese.
yeah.
Kreese got betrayed by Terry, and I think he's gonna come to his senses,
Hmm.
and at least I think reach out to Lawrence.
Yeah. Well,
And he's
Kreese
gonna have to work hard to redeem himself.
Kreese had a moment of compassion at the tournament, like a very small when he told Tori, "This is your fight. Do what you want." So it was cool to see that character change a little bit, So I'm excited to see what's going to happen to Kreese in the future when he gets out of prison, anyway.
Right.
Right.
So
So
guys,
I think we're gonna.
He's in
see-
holding. That's all. He's in
Yeah.
holding. Yeah.
So guys, we have a little bit of time and we still have one more review, but I just want to do a quick commercial break. And then before that, I just want to let people know Cobra Kai season 4 is now streaming on Netflix. And I believe all 4 seasons actually are on Netflix. So if you have not seen it, start from the beginning. Actually, see the movies first, then see the series because it's all amazing. So check that out, Cobra Kai on Netflix. All right, guys. So we're going to take a short commercial break, but we'll be back with one more film review of the evening right after this.
Under the Radar is brought to you by Magnitude Jewelry. Add a 2 to match your attitude. Patent pending interchange genuine gemstone and crystal EMF protection jewelry. For more information, please visit magnitudejewelry.com/gemgirl or call 718-268-6634.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Randy Younger, Under the Radar. And we just went through Cobra Kai season 4. and there's so much more to say about it, but sadly we don't have enough time. We have one more review, and this is a movie. It's called American Night, and it is basically a heist action thriller which focuses on a very valuable piece of art, the Pink Marilyn, and basically its journey from hand to hand. And basically, the main character is an an art critic, dealer, and forger who's involved with the mafia. And I didn't want to spend too much time on this movie because it's really bad. And Matt, I know you didn't get to see it, and you're very lucky for that. So Forrest, Chris, I apologize profusely for this terrible movie. I didn't know it was going to be that bad.
Me either.
I mean, it's got Jonathan Rhys-Meyers, it's got Jeremy Piven, who I love.
That was a selling point for me. There, like Jeremy Piven's in it. It's gonna be fire. It's gonna be dope.
Yeah,
Michael Madsen's in it. It's just total garbage, though. Like, it's a heist film, but it's like a very ambitious movie. It's trying to be slick and cool with its imagery, but it falls flat. And
I think it had great cinematography and editing, but story wise, it meanders a lot.
Right.
And I had a hard time keeping up with it. A lot
of martial arts references in there too.
True. I did like
that was interesting. I thought maybe you thought that out beforehand. Like,
I didn't even know until I saw it. Like, wow, okay. Yeah, there's a scene with Jeremy Piven. He follows Bruce Lee's lesson to blindfold himself and basically, trust his other senses. And he throws a shooting star and he gets it right in the middle, then bullseye. That was like the only good scene, I think.
You're probably right there.
I love Piven, and I really wanted to see so much more. He only had maybe like 5 minutes of screen time, maybe a little bit more. But Chris, what were your thoughts real quick on this terrible movie?
It was difficult to follow in terms of the story. I like the lighting, like Cowboy Bebop, as I was talking about earlier, follows like a very, very similar sort of lighting in terms of the cinematography. So I like the dramatic blues and reds and, the darkness in the alleys. I like that. They made it seem like it's a very realistic sort of way to look at.
It's very noir. It's very like kind of noirish, kind of, but also kind of but also comic bookish.
Yeah.
Sure.
Forrest, I know you're
like a comic
fan.
book.
Yeah. Forrest, I know you're a really big fan of Dick Tracy, the 1990 film, Warren Beatty.
Yes.
And the color scheme, it sort of reminded me of that in a weird way.
Yes. I agree. It's very colorful.
Very colorful, really nice city streets, but it didn't look like Manhattan. It didn't look like the real New York City.
Because this movie was filmed in somewhere in Eastern Europe, like
architecture didn't match anything from here. I was like, this has got to be Europe. I said that right with Forrest on that.
Yeah, it just didn't fit. It was ridiculous. The action was stupid. And Emil Hirsch, at one point in the movie, he shaves his head, but it looked like a bald cap. It just did not look real at all. It just looked so fake. Yeah. The stuff with the girlfriend was kind of silly, and then that girl that looked like the girlfriend. It was just, I don't know. There were so many things here that went wrong. I
feel like this movie bit off more than it could chew, really.
Like I said, no, very ambitious, and usually I would respect the filmmaker's decision to be that ambitious, but no, I don't respect anything about this movie. Michael Madsen had a pretty good performance as a mobster, and I think that would have been, if they explored that a little bit more, it would have been cool.
Yeah, but I feel like Mike, I was watching Michael Madsen and I'm like, this is not the guy. It's Michael Madsen, but at the same time, it's like he's not the guy that was Mr. Pink or wait, was it Mr. Pink or Mr. Blanc? Or was he Mr. Blanc?
I think Blonde.
He's not Mr. He doesn't seem, he's not Mr. Blonde anymore. or even
Right.
his character in Sin City.
He had a pretty good performance in Kill Bill Volume 2, actually.
Yeah, or that character too. He's not. He doesn't. To me, he didn't seem. He didn't seem very intimidating.
He was just phoning it in, like he was like
Phoning it in, and plus you could tell he was like, he's out of shit. I don't mean to like be ageist or like body shame or anything, but you could tell he's like, he's just like too out of it, and he's like, he can't pull it off anymore. Pull off those kinds of roles.
kind of past his prime.
Yeah.
But I mean, but I love the actor's older work, previous work.
Yeah.
Reservoir Dogs is probably his.
Reservoir Dogs, Kill Bill, Sin City.
Yeah. Matt, from what we're describing, are you gonna see this movie? Are you interested?
No, not at all.
Or
No,
just
you want to know what? I would rather watch, if there's any heist, I would rather watch that Ben Stiller Tower heist than over this
Oh
movie.
God, that wasn't very good either.
No, but it seems a little bit better. Or I would
much
rather
better than
watch
this.
Dick Tracy. I'll watch Dick Tracy over
Yes.
that.
or watch Sin City.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, if you want a heist movie, then go see. I'd say. There's some good.
Ocean's 11, 12, and
Ocean's,
13.
yeah, the Ocean's trilogy.
Yeah.
Oh God, I'm trying.
Italian
Dog Day
Job.
Afternoon.
Italian Job.
Italian Job. Yes.
Wait, Dog Day Afternoon's a classic for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Army of Thieves, which Army of the Dead, and then they made Army of Thieves, which I didn't see because I didn't really like Army of the Dead. But yeah, there's a bunch of much better heist films out there, and I was excited to see Jonathan Rhys-Meyers because I loved him in Match Point, Woody Allen movie a few years ago. Actually, more than a few. It's 2005. That's a great movie, guys. I wish we were reviewing that. I wish it was 17 years ago so we could review that, but never mind. All right, guys. So we have a couple minutes left. Yeah, American Night is available now on demand. So if you feel so inclined, go check it out. But yeah, it's off my radar. That's for sure. All right, guys. So a couple minutes left. I just want to go through some coming attractions for this week. And we've got an interesting assortment of movies that are coming out. First up, we've got Redeeming Love, which is a drama history romance. We also have, this one caught my attention actually. It's called The King's Daughter, and it's here's the synopsis: King Louis the 14th. Yeah, King Louis the 14th's quest for immortality leads him to capture and steal a mermaid's life force, a move that is further complicated by his illegitimate daughter's discovery of the creature. And it stars Pierce Brosnan as the king. And I mean, I love the man. He's a great actor. I'm a huge fan of his. Check that out. That's called The King's Daughter. We also have a Mickey Rourke action horror thriller called War Hunt. Speaking of actors like Michael Madsen, who are kind of, not in their prime anymore. That's Mickey Rourke.
Tough guys past their prime.
Yeah, it's like, come on already. All right. Next up, The Tiger Rising. It's a family film. Stars Dennis Quaid and Queen Latifah. So that's pretty cool. And lastly, The Laureate, which is a drama. And basically what caught my eye there, it's co-star Julian Glover, who was the villain in Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade. He was also had a small part in Empire Strikes Back. And I believe he was in Game of Thrones. So that's notable there. But yeah, that's what's coming out this week. Guys, we have just a few minutes left. So I just want to go around if there's any plugs. Chris, I'm sure you have your practice you want to.
Yeah, so I teach, for those who are listening, I teach comprehensive self-defense. My concentration is mainly Taekwondo, but I also have a background in Aikido, so I oftentimes blend the two. Also another Korean martial art. boxing. So it's a great workout. I know we're all in the new year and still in the midst of the pandemic. So it's a great way to commit to a different sort of goal to maybe get you guys going in a different direction in life. Really, it's a calling for me to teach. And yeah, so I'm in the Jersey area. If anyone's looking to take information down or wants to get in touch, my website is mastercm.net, M like Mary. And you could find me on Instagram, Master Malarkey. I have another page that actually got hacked. I got hacked last week. That was the page I spent a lot of time making, but I've since parted with it, but it still has all of my content up on there too. So you can also Instagram me at Master Chris Malarkey and take a look at my portfolio that way. But yeah, and I have a podcast much like yourself called Mastery with Chris Malarkey. I just finished publishing my 10th episode last week. So yeah, we're moving forward. But yeah, those are my links.
I love it. Awesome. And I did notice some random Instagram messages from you. I was like, what's going on
Not
here?
for me, but from somebody claiming to be
A
yes.
fake account. Okay, I figured that's what I figured.
Gotcha. You got that sorted out? Everything okay?
As far as I'm concerned, I'm still getting slow pull over from the other side to here. I got to do the post. Hey, it's not me. Hola, this is not, I'm not trying to do a Forex scam. But again, the website, mastercm.net, that's got everything there that hasn't been touched. And it's a pretty full scale look at what my mission is to accomplish with Taekwondo training for people. So, yeah.
Now, I'm curious real quick. Have you, since Cobra Kai, have you gotten a lot more students because of the show?
Definitely not. It's I wish that's it would have been if I did karate, which is what many people think I do. Taekwondo is essentially a derivative of karate, so very similar. You had Koreans many years ago that traveled to Japan and took karate back and have their own roots and some other martial art called Taekyon. So they kind of combined a couple of other things too, Kempo. So it's a little different than karate, but very similar. Very similar. But if anyone's looking to do the Korean karate version, I'm your guy.
Cool. How do you, I'm sorry, last question.
Yeah, sure.
How did you decide to get into it? Because I know there's so many different forms of martial arts. How did you land on what you do?
Really, my parents, I give them all the credit because they had a lot of, just excess energy, very competitive. Boy, I'm sure I'm still a competitive guy now. Mm-hmm. And they took me just to kind of, I think it was my mother's friend from what I understand after many years, who had suggested that, through her son taking it, that my mom take me. And there happened to be, I've always been in walking distance from a martial arts school of some kind. So my mom took me, and that last episode, funny enough, that I just did on my podcast was with my first instructor. So I took my first classes with him, put in uniform, and he got me really far, really just shy of black belt. So I owe him and my teacher, Grandmaster Kim, quite a lot. But I think when you meet the right people in any given field, you really don't end up continuing to choose. It's like it chooses you, because you don't want to disconnect from, again, those relationships like we were talking about, and cultivating those. Once you see what these guys are able to do, and the extended network. And like I tell people when they come here, this is not a gym. This is a community of people. There's networks. I know people that are lawyers. I know people that are in TV. I know people that are in this and that. So it's like, I love to have people sort of cross-pollinate their interests and their professions and come in here. And I always say, slogan that I have here is all differences die at the door. So there's no politics, there's no ego, there's no race, there's no nothing. Put on a uniform and you get onto the mats, and I'll take care of you from there. So I think martial arts really ended up continuing to choose me, and I feel like I'm called to do this. So yeah.
I love it. And you're teaching young minds, you're molding them physically and mentally, and that's amazing.
Yes. And it's important to note I teach adults as well. I know many martial arts are so commercialized nowadays that many people see it as just kids, but it's really more adults need this training that I'm offering more than anyone I know. They're adults at this point are very critical of, they want children to do a whole lot of changing, but they themselves don't contribute to any of that change on their own end. So I really do urge adults to challenge themselves. It is a challenge to challenge themselves to do this. It's a way to live life. It's not just kicking and punching. I know that's the way to sell it, but it's really so much more than that. And some of that you even see in Cobra Kai.
Awesome. Keep doing what you do. You're amazing. That's awesome.
Appreciate
yes,
it.
sir.
Appreciate it.
Matt, any plugs for you, sir?
Yes, well, we're going to be coming up on the final 2 episodes of Nostalgia Time with Kid Champagne in publication as we go on for a long pause. First, we're going to be starting with a tribute to Robin Williams, and we will be ending on a special topic of mine that will be recording very soon. And Forrest, I know you're going to be coming on with me for the Robin Williams episode.
Yep.
So with you, Randy, and for our final episode, Randy, you will be my guest of honor.
Oh,
Booyah.
thank you, sir. You're a gentleman, Mr. Champagne.
Thank you. As it comes, it won't. It is, but for the circumstances, Nostalgia Time is going to have to go on a long pause. But we're going to end it with a bang.
Sounds good. Happy to be a part of that. Cool. And lastly, Forrest Bennett, any plugs for you, sir?
Well, okay. So I was in about a month ago, I filmed a promo with Trauma Entertainment, where I played the Toxic Avenger.
Yes.
And that promo is now out on Trauma's YouTube channel. So you can see me in action as the Toxic Avenger, with my monster face and my mop and tutu. Almost, and that was pretty surreal to work on that, because I grew up a fan of a Trauma fan, and with watching the Toxic Crusaders as a kid, and the Toxic Avenger, and Surf Nazis Must Die, and Class of Nuke 'Em High, all those movies. But to actually get to work for them playing their signature character was very surreal. But I can also understand why a lot of Batman and Power Rangers actors hate playing superheroes, because those costumes are very claustrophobic. So there's that. And then also I'm on a podcast called Inside Movies Galore, where we have roundtable discussions of older movies. We're discussing Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory this coming week.
Nice. And Toxic Crusaders was one of my favorite cartoons. I don't really remember the show that much, but I definitely remember the action figures and the toys, the vehicles. What a great line. So that's amazing. And that's Trauma Now, right? Trauma Now?
Yeah, the promotion was for the Trauma streaming app, Trauma Now.
Awesome. Well, cool. That's a bucket list item right there. And I hope you have more future involvement with Trauma. That's cool.
Word.
All right, gentlemen. Well, thank you so much. And then guys watching and listening at home on your devices, you can check out new episodes of Under the Radar on Manhattan Neighborhood Network every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Also on cable TV channels FiOS 34, RCN 83, and Spectrum 56 and 1996. If you're on the Manhattan Neighborhood Network website, check out the Lifestyle Channel 2. That is where you can see episodes of Under the Radar. Also, feel free to subscribe to the Under the Radar YouTube channel. And I want to thank everyone again. Gentlemen, Matt, Chris, Forrest, thank you so much. This was great. You guys are always welcome. And no mercy. I'm Randy Unger.
Cobra Kai never die.
We'll see you next time.
Cobra Kai never dies.
Take care.
Take care.